think negative. Try to pair those unhealthy choices with something that you don't like. For example, you really love Oreos, and if you see that Oreo, think, okay, the brown part really looks like dirt, and the white part looks like, lard, which it really is, by the way. But whatever, can make you feel like that just is very undesirable, then try to associate that with some imagery in your mind that's negative. Okay? And then finally, exercise. It is amazing how many things exercise helps. And one of the things that definitely happens with exercise is leveling dopamine levels. And so that can be a very powerful thing. It can be a great distraction too, right? You talked about, going from arousal to release. Well, a great distraction is, I really want those donuts. Okay, I'm going to go run. I don't know. But it's not always that easy, I know. But exercise can be a very powerful tool. All right, any comments, questions, anything? All right, well, I just have some closing thoughts for you. First of all, do you eat to live or do you live to eat? That's an important question. Anybody ever seen that little, it's an animated movie called Over the Hedge? You seen that? If you haven't, you got to watch it. It's, it's fun, it's entertaining, but when you really think about the message, it's really interesting because it's about this little group of animals that live in the woods, and all of a sudden a subdivision gets built, in the middle of their woods, and so they begin learning about what humans are and human behavior. And they got the one, kind of streetwise guy that he's trying to teach them about humans, and he's telling them about, humans and their consumption of food, and they're so, and it shows the imagery on the movie is actually like they're praying for their meal, and he says they worship food, and they get food from this and they get food from that. It's really kind of telling about our perception and the place that we've put food in our society. So, do we eat to live or live to eat? Eat for nutrition rather than satisfaction. That's hard to do. I know it is. But that's really what the body is designed to do, is again for survival. And so if we can think of it in those terms, it maybe can help. Recognize that the packaging, the environment, the emotions, the cravings, all those things, recognize them for what they are. Recognize that when you walk into any particular restaurant, they have specifically designed it for you to consume more unhealthy food. And it's unfortunate, too, that in our society that you pay more for a bottle of water and a salad than you do a really crappy hamburger. But that's the reality of it. And so you have to recognize it for what it is and be willing to take some action. We've learned some things today, at least I hope you have. I know I have learned some things from studying some things about this. But if we don't apply that learning, it really doesn't do any good. Substitute cravings with something you want to rebuild the neural circuitry. That's really what we need to do. Why do people fail? If people go on a diet for 90 days, on a real diet where they're restricting things, all that kind of stuff, and they lose weight, why do they gain it all back? Because that neural circuitry is still there. You got to rewire the circuitry in order to really truly make a change. And so, going through some of those rehab steps can help rewire the circuitry so that you've changed the neural pathways to desire things that are better choices. Everyone wants to feel like they're in control. Use that to your power. Feel like, I want to be in control. I don't want to be under the control of that chocolate chip cookie. I want to be the one in control. So use that to your advantage and keep that as a way to motivate yourself. And that's the end. Anyway, any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
One thing that struck me once, a friend of mine who's quite thin and never gains weight, she thinks of food as fuel. That was her whole concept. It's fuel.
Yeah.
It's not ceremonial. It's not something to splurge with. It's like, what do I need to put in? Fuel my body to get through. She was working at Microsoft, so the long days and stuff. So it was like, how do you just keep the energy level going? What kind of fuel do you want to get?
Yeah.
Thinking it as simply as that.
Yeah, that is a great way to think of it, because then you can think about not only the quantity but the quality of the fuel. And what is it that you really need to perform well? I like that. Any other comments or questions? Well, I appreciate your time. I really hope that... one in the back?
Yeah. And so, my sort of gets into that 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night. But anybody else would never bother with something about the timing, days or that. That happen.
So again, think about that neural circuitry that you build. You know, if at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night, all of a sudden you're, ding, the switch gets flipped, and you're like, man, I got to have something sweet and cold or whatever it is. You know, that's really that neural circuitry that if you've done that enough, it's automatic. You just, boy, I really need to have it at this time. And so find ways, recognize it for what it is, find ways to rebuild that circuitry. You know, if you're going to bed at 10 and at 9:30 every night, the switch gets flipped, go to bed at 9:30, you know. Or, you know, one strategy that I've found very successful, and even some people, not everybody, but many people, is, you know, at that time where I know that ding is going to go, I'll go brush my teeth. Because then I don't, you know, first of all, nothing tastes good after you brush your teeth. And I don't really want to have to brush my teeth again. So, you know, just find things that you can do that circumvent the circumstance. You know, I don't know any better suggestion than that, but I think that's what you got to do, and it's different for everybody. You just got to find what you can do to circumvent those circumstances that's going to trigger all that stuff, and your brain gets all lit up, and you just can't say no.
Does a craving for one of those things like lead into wanting the others? Because like last night, I just wanted some ice cream. I said, okay, I'm just going to have like 2 spoonfuls. And then after I had the ice cream, I had the taste for salty. And then I had to have something. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And it was after 9:30, you know, it was late at night.
Yeah. I don't know the exact answer, if they definitively, yes, you know, fat and sugar lead you to want salt. You know, I don't know the answer to that, but again, if you've made that kind of something you've done on some kind of frequency, and you built that neural network where, okay, when I eat something sweet, then I feel like I want something salty, and you've reinforced that and built that, then it's going to drive you to do that every time. Right? So then that's where, again, you have to kind of rebuild those neurons to think different. Right?
So to make up a recipe, say for brownies, and you make black beans and use stevia and all those kind of things, so it's a healthy, a lot less calories, but it still tastes good to you.
Uh-huh.
So is that kind of a sabotage if that brownie still tastes really good? Does that keep that, you know, pathway going in there? I'm never going to break away from a brownie?
Yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that either. At the same time, you know, when you ask that question, I'm thinking, well, one of the strategies is, you know, replacing or, you know, choosing things that satisfy but not necessarily stimulate. That could be oatmeal. You know, that could be vegetables. That could be a brownie that's made more healthy than, you know. So I would say yes. I think that would be a very positive thing to do.
So a healthy brownie would help break that pathway?
I would think so. I would think so. I don't know exactly, but I would think it would. Other comments or questions? Now you want brownies. You've just got her dopamine levels up, and she's now focused on brownies. Well, anyway, I hope you've benefited from this. I hope you have a great afternoon, and have a great day. I think I've failed if I stimulated everybody to go to Dairy Queen now.